Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. Today we're talking about percents, but before we start we need to know what the definition of a percent is, and I expect you to write this down. A percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. Now throughout this video, if you see this icon right here or this little picture, please put the video on pause and practice the problems on your own, and I will remind you of that as well, or write down definitions or vocabulary. So I expect you to write this down, and you can put the video on pause. A percent also means hundredths or out of 100. Now let's start. The first thing we're going to do is change a percent to a fraction. So if we have 5%, the first thing that I'm going to do, and I've kind of given you some step-by-step instructions here to help you as well, is I want to rewrite it as a fraction with 100 in the denominator. And that's going to be one of the most important parts of this whole section, is whenever you see the symbol percent, think 100. So I'm going to rewrite this as 5 over 100. And then I always need to simplify. That's something that we've been doing for months. The greatest common factor is 5. So let's divide the top and bottom by 5. And that would give us 1 over 20. Let's do another one. 64%, we want to rewrite it as a fraction. The minute we see this percent symbol, we're thinking 100, so we're going to rewrite it as a fraction with 100 in the denominator. So it's 64 over 100. And then my step 2 is to simplify. The top and the bottom are both divisible by 4. So I'm going to rewrite this. 64 divided by 4 and 100 divided by 4 would be 16 over 25. Let's take a look at another one. 164%. Hopefully you guys have this pattern down. The first thing I'm going to do is rewrite it as 164 over 100, and then I need to simplify. And the greatest common factor of 164 and 100 is 4, so I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 4, and that would give me 41 over 25. And this is improper. I want you in this chapter to write these as mixed numbers, so I can take one whole part or one whole 25 out of 41, and then if I do 41 and subtract 25, that will leave me with the remainder of 16. So rewriting this, it would be 1 and 16/25. And now what I want you to do is put the video on pause, and I want you to do all 3 of these on your own. So you're going to rewrite it as a fraction and then simplify if you can. So again, put this on pause. Welcome back. Hopefully you didn't cheat and that you were able to do all 3 of these. The first one would just be 7 over 100, and we cannot simplify that. There's nothing that divides into 7 and 100. And then 35% would be 35 over 100. These are both divisible by 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 100 divided by 5 is 20. And then 51% would be 51 over 100, and there's nothing that we can divide into the 51 and the 100, so we're going to leave it like that. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to change a percent to a decimal. So the first thing I want to do, and I've given you step-by-step instructions here as well, is we are going to divide by 100. So 38% is, remember, percent means out of 100. This is 38 per 100, or 38 out of 100. And then, whoops, let me go back. I messed up. Sorry about that. And then rewriting this as a decimal, remember 100 means that this is the numerator is in the hundredths position. This would be the tenths. This is the hundred. So it would just be 0.38 or 38 hundredths. Now your turn. Rewrite all of these percents as decimals, and I've given you step-by-step instructions right here. So put the video on pause, try these on your own, and then check your answer. Don't cheat, turn it off. I know you guys want to jump ahead. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully I didn't have any cheaters. So let's take a look at these. 62% would be the same as 62 hundredths. 29% is 29 hundredths. And 131% is 1 and 31 hundredths. And an easy way to remember this too is that when you convert it from the back here, you're always just moving the decimal over 2 places, and then that will always leave these after the decimal in the hundredths places. So if you had trouble with this larger number, again, just think of this as moving the decimal over 2 places so that these numbers here are in that hundredths position. All right, let's go to the next one. This is the hardest. We're going to change a fraction to a decimal. And we did this a couple chapters ago. When I'm changing to a decimal, the first thing I want to try, if possible, is to change the denominator into a power of 10 and see if there's anything that I can multiply this by so that I have a power of 10. That means that it would, if I multiply by something, it'd either be 10 or 100 or 1,000. Well, if I multiply this 5 by 2, then that would give me a denominator of 10, and then I can change it to a decimal in the tenths position. That just makes it easy to convert it. And if I multiply the denominator, I have to multiply the numerator as well. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 2, which would give me 4 over 10, which now the denominator is a 10, so I can easily write this as 4 tenths. And now we're going to go one more step and then change it to a percent. Well, right now this is 4 tenths, but remember, percents are always expressed as hundredths. So what I'm going to do is multiply the top and bottom by 10 so that this 4 tenths, so I'm just using this number or this fraction right here, I'm multiplying it by 10 so that I now have my denominator as 100. So it's 40 over 100, which would be 40%. Let's try one more. I have 5 over 4, and I want to convert it to a decimal. Now think in your head, is there anything I can multiply 4 by so that it will change it to a power of 10? So think. Is there anything that I can multiply this 4 by? Hopefully it's jumping out at you. If I multiply the denominator by 25, that will give me 100. And of course, whatever I multiply the bottom by, I have to multiply the top by as well. So multiplying the top and bottom by 25 would give me 125 over 100. And remember, with percents, everything's about the 100. So I have 100 in the denominator. So now that is easy to rewrite as 1 and 25 hundredths, which of course is easy to write as a percent as well. So as a percent, because this is already in the hundredths position, it would just be 125%. Now, this one is going to definitely be the hardest, and I'm expecting you to do this on paper. I'm not going to show you all the work. There is absolutely nothing I can multiply the 7 by to change the denominator so that it's a power of 10. So what I need to do is 4 divided by 7, and this ends up being something that I need to round. So what I want you to do, if it's a decimal that keeps going, is round it so that it rounds to the hundredths position. And again, we'll practice this more in class because these are a little more challenging. And then just changing it to a percent, it's already the decimals in the hundredths position, so it would be 57%. Now it's your turn. So what I want you to do is turn off, or not turn off, but put the video on pause for a second, and you're going to do 2 things. You're going to convert this fraction to a decimal, and then you're going to change it to a percent. So take a second, do that on your own. hopefully you could see that this one was easy to change to a power of 10. If you multiply the bottom or the denominator by 20, 5 times 20 is 100, and then of course you have to multiply the top by the same amount. It would be 60 over 100. And now it's easy to convert to a decimal. It would be 0.6. Some of you may have had 0.60, which is absolutely fine, but this is 6/10. And then I left it like this because, again, everything with percents is about 100. So this is in the hundredths position, so it's 60%. So be careful because that there was a 0 here, so it's really, we would pronounce it as 6/10. But when we change it to a percent, it always has to be in the hundredths position. That's why it's 60%. Now, try this one. Turn the video on pause and take a second to convert it to a decimal and then to a percent. So again, this one was an easy one to change to a power of 10. We can multiply the denominator by 4. 25 times 4 is 100. And then multiply the numerator as well, which would give us 68. And now we can easily convert that to a decimal. So it would be 68 hundredths. And then it's already in the hundredths position, so it's easy to convert it to a percent as well. It would just be 68%. And that sums it up. I will see you guys in class.